This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Missy Kohler. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson. This segment of the news is brought to you by Silver State Health, bringing quality medical and psychiatric care to Pahrump. Call 775-505-1214 for an appointment.
Well, it's Friday. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy Kohler, and it is February 19th.
Well, Nevada Highway Patrol found a huge amount of methamphetamine during a traffic stop. The tractor trailer coming from San Diego on its way to Monroe, Georgia, was supposed to be empty, according to the driver, Waukevius Powell. But instead, troopers found 74 pounds of meth in his trailer, along with a gun. The drugs are worth approximately $600,000 to over $1 million. The Attorney General says that Powell has been charged with 1 count of conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance and 1 count of possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance. These charges could land him a sentence ranging from 10 years to life in prison.
Nevada is still waiting for its shipments of COVID-19 vaccines after the winter weather in the South has wreaked havoc, causing them to be delayed all week. The CDC says that the shipment that was supposed to arrive today is on the way, but held up following the storm. The Southern Nevada Health District has said that the appointments for about 4,000 people have been delayed who are expected to get their second doses of the Moderna vaccine. First dose appointments scheduled for this week were not affected, nor were appointments involving the Pfizer vaccine.
And Governor Steve Sisolak has announced a new round of changes to further ease the state's COVID restrictions. Among the highlights, getting more students back in the classroom, allowing some high school sports, and lowering the COVID vaccination age to 65.
Getting students back into classrooms as safely as possible is one of the top priorities that I laid out in my State of the State address last month. This afternoon, after this call, my office will be releasing a new emergency directive and related guidance documents that will provide county school districts the flexibility to help bring more students back into classrooms safely. We know from the CDC that reopening schools can be done safely when communities implement and strictly adhere to proven mitigation measures.
The new directive will allow them to increase the occupancy capacity to 75%. Or a maximum of 250 people in a contained space while maintaining other safety measures such as mandatory masks and social distancing. We will also be increasing the capacity limits on our school buses to 66%, again, with mask requirements and social distancing in place.
Full contact sports have been prohibited. I know this has been difficult for many of our student athletes and their families across the state. We've been working hard to develop a plan for how we can allow these athletic activities while still keeping our students and adults as safe as possible. I'm excited to announce today that under this new emergency directive, full contact sports regulated and governed by the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association, the NIAA, may resume practice and competitions if social distancing and all new requirements can be met. In order to allow NIAA-regulated full contact sports to take place, the NIAA must develop a mandatory COVID-19 testing and mitigation plan that then must be adopted and followed by each school district and school intending to allow full contact sports. A plan must require at a minimum weekly testing of coaches, staff, and athletes participating in these sports.
Well, those 65 or older are eligible to get a COVID vaccination starting next week. For more information, you can go online to nvcovidfighter.org. If you prefer to speak with someone, you can call the state's COVID Help Center at 1-800-401-0946.
Director of Emergency Management Chief Scott Lewis delivered his report to the Board of County Commissioners on Wednesday. Lewis reported on COVID cases as well as the vaccine disbursement.
Better news. Even though Nye County continues to be currently in a flag status, we are improving. Our COVID trajectory has stabilized. We have a significant reduction in a number of new cases. I will just say with caution that we do have several additional deaths that have been reported. Our total case count is 2,734, which includes 93 deaths. Our hospitalization in Pahrump is also stabilized, and several new cases, however, do remain in intensive care in Las Vegas-based hospitals. Our testing continues. However, we are experiencing a reduction in those willing to be tested or wanting to be tested. Most are symptomatic now versus the traditional asymptomatic also being tested. Vaccinations continue following our COVID-19 vaccination plan, which was approved and is closely monitored by the state. Nothing has changed with that. Receipt of the vaccines remains limited, and Chairman, I heard you say a little earlier, you stated to the remainder of the commissioners that the vaccines were, in fact, not received for this week due to the weather conditions across the country, and that's absolutely accurate. We have not received any of the requested allocations for this week. We are cautiously optimistic that we may receive them by the end of the week. However, that will not give us sufficient time to organize a pod before the weekend, which is the VA pod. Pahrump Fire has also been working diligently with the veterans. The VA clinic has held at least one pod, actually two pods held over one weekend, and they're scheduled for more this weekend. I believe they vaccinated 400 people over the 2 days, and I think they intend to do the same this weekend. And that is also by appointment, and it will be at the Veterans Clinic located in Pahrump on Lola Lane. But again, appointments are required. All of our vaccinations are completed by appointment and are supported by the back pocket list. If you've heard me talk before, our back pocket list has been extremely important to us because our intended goal is to never ever have to waste any given dose of vaccine. So in some cases where people didn't show for their scheduled appointments or something else has arisen, there are cases where we may have several vaccines available toward the end of the day. We then go down through our tiered list and our lanes, try and get people in the last minute, because once we draw that vaccine out of the vial, we have to use it within 30 minutes or it's no longer valid. So we take into consideration where they're coming from, how quickly they can come in. So how do people get the vaccine? It seems to be an ongoing question. NevadaCovidFighter.org or NyeCounty.net are the websites. You can go in and schedule your appointments following the respective banners and the steps outlined. For those without computers, we have two telephone numbers, 1-800-401-0946, and our local number of 775-751-6313. For our homebound seniors and others that are unable to gain way to some of the pods, we are working closely with our senior center, our pharmacies, our transportation companies, medical groups, family members, and word of mouth to help identify and overcome those vaccination challenges. We've actually had a number of the transportation companies bring those people directly to the pods, and we move them to the front of the line so they have a reduction in the cost of sitting there in a cab or a taxi.
Lumber prices reach a record high. We'll tell you more about that in our business report just after the break. Stick around.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Lawmakers hope to learn from the wild swing in some stock prices in order to better protect investors, and lumber prices reach a record high.
Topping our news, the biggest players in the GameStop frenzy are likely to remain in the spotlight. On Thursday, Vlad Tenev, the CEO of Robinhood, defended the move to limit customers from buying shares of GameStop on the Robinhood app. Tenev also apologized, basically saying it won't happen again, and that the trading restrictions were there so Robinhood could meet capital requirements that are set by regulators, as GameStop shares were soaring 1,600%. Lawmakers are concerned that wild swings in stock prices could expose unsophisticated investors to the possibility of losing large amounts of money. Congresswoman Maxine Waters plans to hold multiple hearings on the matter. A first was set in the market on Thursday. Lumber futures edged above $1,000. Prices have surged as Americans are demanding newly built affordable homes, as well as stepping up remodeling projects during the pandemic.
The topic of a rate increase for Pahrump Valley Disposal was once again on the Board of County Commissioners meeting agenda on February 17th. This time, a decision was made.
John Shea from Pahrump Valley Disposal spoke to the commissioners at the February 17th Board of County Commissioners meeting. The topic of a rate increase for Pahrump Valley Disposal has been a discussion on the agenda for a few months now. After originally approving a rate increase in December, the district attorney's office asked that the time be given for them to continue research on the correct policy steps that the board needed to take before making a rate change. After the first of the year, the committee reconsidered the increase because of the policy steps and withdrew the approval with the ability to discuss the issue on a later agenda. The last time that there was an increase imposed for waste removal by Pahrump Valley Disposal was in 2000. Since then, there has been unforeseen economic circumstances that has spurred the ask for an increase. Shea detailed the increase in operating costs that included state legislative actions, recycling costs, and escalating equipment and labor costs, and provided supporting documentation. The rate increase is 19.19%, which Shea says works out to an increase of $2.73 per month. Rates will go from $14.32 to $17.05, and Shea said that seniors will continue to receive their discount, making their rate $15.05 per month. The rate increase still competitive statewide and well below the state average for such services. After hearing the complete proposal, a motion was made to approve the rate adjustment. The motion was seconded and approved. You can review the complete proposal at nyecounty.net.
John Shea also noted that part of the fees charged does come back to the county in the form of franchise fees.
Well, Daniel Dumas appeared in court today for arraignment on charges of animal abuse.
Dumas appeared in Judge Wonker's courtroom today to be arraigned on charges of animal cruelty. Dumas was arrested in November of 2020 for animal abuse after a local veterinarian asked deputies to perform a welfare check on 2 kittens that were treated for serious injuries to their mouths. When deputies met with Dumas, he allegedly told them he was angry with the kittens for defecating on a blanket. He allegedly held the kittens by their napes while grinding their faces into the carpet, causing significant injury to the kittens. An official from the veterinary clinic provided a statement saying that Dumas's alleged actions literally tore the skin away from the attachment on their mandibles. Expecting to be arraigned today, Dumas came to court represented by attorney Ronnie Boscovich. Upon arrival, Dumas was asked to take a drug test. His test came back positive for marijuana and cocaine. Dumas had been released on his own recognizance, and part of those conditions included not coming into contact with animals of any kind and refraining from using any kind of drugs. Judge Wonker revoked Dumas's OR release and imposed 25 days in Nye County Detention Center for contempt of court, $5,000 bail. His arraignment was rescheduled for March 19th.
We'll have more News 25 just after the break.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by Canyon Ridge Periodontics. Give them a call at 702-966-0302.
Welcome back. Nearly half of Americans say they've gained weight during the pandemic, according to a recent survey. If you're one of them, you may be thinking about going on a diet. But with to choose from, how do you pick the right one?
Oftentimes when my patients say, well, what diet should I be on? What's the best one? My answer is always the best diet for you is one you can stay on long term, one that has the most sustainability and one that you're happy on. If you're on a diet and it's nothing but deprivation and you're miserable, that's not the right diet for you, and chances are you won't keep the weight off.
Kristen Kirkpatrick is a dietitian with Cleveland Clinic. She says we ultimately have to decide for ourselves what diet is best. Diets aren't one size fits all, and she recommends picking one that's easy for you personally to follow and stick with. She reminds us some diets have more research behind them, like the Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes fruits, vegetables, olive oil, and fish. Then there's the DASH diet, which focuses on foods to help lower blood pressure. And there's also a newer combination of the two called the MIND diet.
And that diet has been shown with rigorous adherence to reduce the risk of Alzheimer's and dementia by about 53%. So this is really a brain boosting diet. This year, a lot of my patients and a lot of trends are going towards how do we improve our brain health. So the MIND diet, I think, is another great option.
Kirkpatrick says her patients have also done well on the ketogenic diet and whole foods and low-carb approaches. If you're having trouble deciding what diet is right for you, talk to your healthcare provider or enlist the help of a dietitian.
Thanks to Brad Francis for that report. Well, a longtime social worker with Nathan Adelson Hospice is getting a promotion.
Cheryl Johnston is now the clinical manager for the Nathan Adelson Hospice Pahrump office. In her new role, Johnston will oversee home care, triage, continuous care, and transition care teams and continue to develop a culture of excellence in patient care. Nathan Adelson President and CEO Karen Rubel says Johnston has become an integral part of the Pahrump team, and she believes Johnston is the best choice to lead the local office. Johnston joined Nathan Adelson Hospice in 2012 as a graduate student, obtained a master's degree in social work from the University of Nevada, and was officially hired as a licensed social worker in 2014. Johnston is currently working towards her PhD in psychology, specializing in trauma and disaster relief. She also serves as a visiting lecturer to UNLV's School of Social Work by providing education regarding veteran care, end-of-life care, aging, and trauma.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Hi, it's John Kohler from KPVM Channel 25 News. We're on location at McCullough Arena. It's just off of Basin, off of Highway 160. And this weekend, hosting a high school rodeo. Man, how we return to high school sports. This is a good one to start with. We got horses, we got animals, we got bull riding, we got the whole deal. It's starting Saturday at 9 a.m., Sunday also at 9 a.m. You can get your tickets at the gate, and it's going to be just like tons of fun. So come on down to Nye County. Come check out the high school rodeo. It's in action this weekend, and I'll tell you all about the weather you can expect for the rodeo and the rest of the week when we return.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. Happy Friday. You made it to the end of the week. Good for you. Celebrating a birthday today. You're celebrating with Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Oh, how I love his peppermint patties. You know what I'm talking about up in Fernley. Yes, you do. 56 degrees was your high today. 35 for a low. Out in Fallon, it was 58 degrees. 36 for a low. And Carson City, Tonopah, and Goldfield, you're splitting the Chill Spot Award. Carson City got all the way up to 52 degrees, and that was it. 34 tonight. Tonopah, 53 degrees was your high today. 24 is the low, and you share the low with Goldfield out there with 24 degrees for a low tonight there. 55 for a high on the afternoon in Goldfield. Feeling pretty good. Out in Beatty, 60 degrees, 31 for a low tonight. Amargosa, you're seeing 63 degrees and 33 for a low. Las Vegas, 63 degrees, barely room temperature. Work on that. 43 degrees for a low tonight out in Death Valley, California. If you want to warm up, head on out. 72 degrees for high today. 46 for a low, and here in the Paradise of Pahrump, 61 degrees is our current temperature. I saw as much as 63 earlier today. The winds out of the south-southwest giving us a break at 8 miles per hour. A little bit of humidity, making some beautiful clouds and beautiful sunrise this morning at 6:26 a.m. Setting right now at 5:29 p.m. Yeah, give it a minute. It'll be there. 41 will be our low tonight. Southeasterly winds to 10 miles per hour, kicking up just a little bit along with some humidity. And check this out, coming into the next week. Oh, tomorrow, big winds. Whoo, daddy, 28 mile per hour average gust. Wow, we're going to see some wind. Temperatures scooting up to 60 degrees. And midweek, like Tuesday, all the way up to 71. It's a little bit cooler than they were anticipating. But after the big blow, we should have a lot of clear skies. Temperatures hovering in the 60s to 70s, and it's going to be a beautiful week to look forward to and a great weekend to look forward to. Hope you're going to have a nice one and a safe one, and we'll see you on the other side. Back to the desk, it's Missy and Deanna.
All right, we want to remind everybody, of course, about the rodeo, but also there is a memorial service for the public tomorrow beginning at 2 p.m. Nye Communities Coalition at 1020 East Wilson, and that is for Gerald Bear Smith, the bailiff that has passed away. And that's going to wrap up this edition of News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
I'm Missy. Have a great weekend.